Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. So last time with our proof, we're in our derivation to the point of proofing. We've kind of established, or again, we have a well-defined goal. Is now that sensorality is this stabilizing syllability, and throughout our derivation, we're progressing just based on the consistency of language and of logic. And so we're going to self-generate this kind of what is the theme of mathematics. Literally, mathematics is thematics with an MA in front. And so we're trying to arrive at this self-contained question, but sensorality will be the stabilizing syllability, and we're trying to show that direct iteration. And so kind of a renormalization of sorts, but you can't remember what does not matter. And so back to, again, memory plus morality is memorality, remembering what is right. But in general, you cannot remember what doesn't matter, right? The things in your personal life that get you upset or angry or excited or whatever, right? They all come and go. And so things that you'll be worried about in the present, in retrospect, it looks like didn't really matter at all. But in reality, you only remember how people make you feel. And that's what matters. Because it doesn't matter if you solve all of science. It doesn't matter if you work at a factory plant. It matters how you interact with other people. And so, again, I'm just taking you through any step, and a lot of these steps might seem like that's not mathematics, but again, right, we've truly bridged motion to emotion, right? Generosity is energy, directly, literally. And so, continuing on, what is distribution to integration, right? We've arrived at this distribution aspect, which is, again, a mathematics proper word. Is it a function? I'd say it's a physical process for sure, and that's what functions represent as physical processes. In mathematics, again, any question I pose is just to compare two words, integration, distribution. Distribution, iteration, and again, integration, iteration, inversion, effectively the same thing. And we're just getting to the point where we can demonstrate this property. What is electricality to orderality? Right, electricity moving. Is there order to it? And there is. Posing the question to pull up your intuition. What is sensation to association? Right, that's the big verb we keep using. Words, sounds are associated to meanings. So how does distribution relate to association? Right, we talked about that last time. Right, by distribution you form an association. Is kind of the chronology that seems relevant, but what is sensation to association? Again, posing the question, moving along. Sensorization is synergeticality. And so, again, very clear, this linguistical word forms of synergy, right? That's a word, clearly built on energy. But again, like, where does this SNY come from? Rhythm, HY, H or RHY. And then, again, these S's and C's are like iteration elements. And so sensorization is synergeticality. And again, this linguistically, the letter's stabilizing, but when you're censoring things, right, we're getting to the definition. We're not going to try to jump around. Sensorization is synergeticality. Synergizing sensorizes, right? You mediate, you calibrate, you get on the same wavelength. Synergizing sensorizes. Synchronizing is synergizing, right? If something works well together, right? A functional definition for synergy, or energy, the capacity to do work, movement, potential at its most fundamental, and then synergy, the capacity to work together. And so synchronizing is synergizing. We're on the same wavelength. I get you. Numbers represent quantity. Letters represent quality. Quantity or quality, and now we've paired them to other letters or to other words. Sensorality is invigorating. Sensorality is sensoration. That's another natural definition. Sensoration is sensation without an or. Sensorationality is sensorality. We're just, again, iterating the linguistic word forms until we have the stabilizing, complete, direct definition. Fundamental theorem of sensorality Dispensationality is sensorationality. Obviously a natural definition. Dispensationality is distributionality. To dispense something is to distribute. Sensorality is stributality. Stributality, stability. What is generosity to adversity? Are people more generous when they face adversity? Some are, some aren't. Not the point, posing the question. There's linguistic similarity, generosity, adversity. And so back to our direct physical considerations. Last time we said, is electricity energetic? Energy, movement, potential. Electricity, moving electrons. It's this like logical redundancy. But we're arriving at this question that's going to literally show a not word and then define sensorality. But another one, continuing on with that same logic, is light energetic? Right? Light, it moves the same in every reference frame. Light's not moving. Mass moves. And so what is represented by light is the limit of not mass, and then it's it's still like the environment, but it's not. Is light energetic? No, light is not moving. Light does not have the potential to move. You don't have photons coming into you. You see mass. And so light is not energetic. Does light have the capacity to move? No. Right? In general relativity, it's the same in every reference frame. It's fundamentally physically stabilized. And so again, it's one of those things. It's like, what is free speech? What is the interest rate to the stock market appreciation relationship? There's enough logic in the word light to respond to it every time. It's still not something. And again, any part of this conceptualization we bump into or is relevant, we'll bump into. But again, the final resolution, sensorality, is just directly literal and you won't be able to deny anything. But any sort of these open questions is just like, again, this is the logical inconsistency or logically not comprehensive enough or something. But is light energetic? No. Light is not moving. Photons do not represent light. That whatever that conversation is no. Sensorality is false differentiation. Right? False differentiation is same difference. People will say, A is A and B is not A, and then really B is A as well. And it happens all of the time, worth pointing out. Sensorality diffuses, fuses senses. Is information energetic? Right, way back when we said, again, I forget what the question was, but some of these videos I was outside, right, is mass, like when you learn something, are you gaining more mass? When you download an application on your phone, when you're getting more information, what is really happening fundamentally, physically, and you're increasing resonance, you're increasing alignment, you're increasing order, you're increasing efficiency. And so does information have the capacity to move? Because mass is information, so yes. Again, the point is not to answer these questions. And it's just, again, another step of this logical derivation, and you've never seen proofing to this level. What is consciousness to cognition? Right? Cognition thinks, consciousness is aware. Sensation produces cognition. What is invigorating to incensing? Right, those are kind of like, again, we're trying to find these natural oppositions of sensorality in some sort of contracted, reduced form, and then it will expand out, and that's how we produce our new axiomatic form. And so we complete sensorality, and how it completes directly generates, that's where sensorality came from. Is speciality, special with an ITY, and we have this leftover word form, sensorality. And so I want to kind of say conjecture, and it doesn't really matter. But invigorating is the opposite of incensing. But invigorating is like life-giving, voracious, vivacious. Incensing is like getting angry. Once again, not the point. But sensorality is vigorating. Sensorality is contributality. And so no supermassive results today, or on this episode, but continuing on with our derivation, trying to, again, we'll have some direct question, and then it will stabilize. Sensorality will stabilize the question itself, and then we'll reduce, again, it will exhaust the linguistics, the syllability introduced by sensorality. And so, again, my rights continue to be violated. I wanted to give a shout out to David Paletta at Arizona State University. Every single day you continue to masquerade as a mathematician, you are being sued personally. So if you want to have a career and a family, get the fuck out of mathematics. That is the same for Matthew Hedden at Michigan State University. And these are people that I've interacted with personally that are working as teachers, researchers, academics, and they ruined my life. They've committed fraud, racketeering, slander, defamation of character, and they've done so in a group, and they are directly involved in academia. Get them out today, or they go to prison for the rest of their lives. And so I'm going to start putting out more shout outs again, because my rights continue to be violated. I am losing my entire life, everything I've ever worked for, because a bunch of fucking lying sacks of shit can't open their mouths and tell the truth. So everybody that I've referenced in any single one of my videos, prosecute, no leniency, no nothing. Anyone in their family, friends, anything they care about that is involved in the racket that is academia stealing from my property, prosecute. There is nothing to debate. To my estate in the future, sue them until they can't be sued anymore, press every criminal charge until they can't be pressed anymore, and then scream their names from the rooftops so nobody will interact with them, and they get scapegoated from society, just as I am right now today. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.